This is why you shouldn't drink tap water.
I don't drink tap. You have to stay away from that. No.
So you probably didn't know that one day could save your life. Hard not. Condoms are useful for a number of reasons. But if you need a quick way to store liquid, they can actually hold up to a gallon of water, plus they're waterproof, so you can safely store things like matches, electronics, and pretty much anything that shouldn't get wet. If you ever find yourself being dragged underwater by an alligator, shove your fingers into its nose. This breaks the seal alligators need to keep water out of their airways and will make them release you immediately. Each railroad crossing has a number on it. So if your car ever gets stuck on a train track, call 911, give them this number, and they'll notify the oncoming trains to stop. If you're ever at a party and your drink tastes unusually salty, do not continue drinking it. Rohypnol, the date rape drug, is reported to have a salty taste. Truck drivers often receive information about dangerous weather, hazards, and accidents before other drivers do, so if you ever see one pulled over or driving differently, it may be a sign that danger is ahead.
Let's talk about the Wendigo.
Store those
The Wendigo
facts.
is said to be a supernatural evil being in North America. They have a hunger that can't be satisfied, so they eat whatever and whoever they want. And just like skinwalkers, they can imitate hurt humans in need of help in order to get you to come to their rescue.
Whoa. Wendigo sighting?
Sounds like he was eating some spicy booty. Clearly they don't do a good job at imitating us. Some people even have videos of them in the forest.
He said deuces.
I got something screaming down there. I don't know what this is, man. Something screaming down there, man.
Just
Hello?
stop.
Wendigo, more like when to go, because that's exactly how I scream in the bathroom after eating Taco Bell.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
And look at this video of one in a cave.
That might be an edit. Might have to call cap on that.
There's 3 ways to defeat them. Setting them on fire, stabbing it through the heart with a silver knife or bullet. Or just not go near one if you hear them screaming. Stay home! There is nothing good outside.
Things you never knew the purpose of.
He was spitting.
Small buttons on jeans are called rivets, and they're placed in the places with the most wear and tear to prevent your pants from ripping. The tiny pocket on jeans is supposed to hold a pocket watch. It's a design from the 1800s.
Whoa.
The bottom line of a solo cup is roughly about 1 shot. The second line is for wine, and the third line is for beer. The neck shape of a beer bottle is designed to incentivize you to hold it from there so that you don't warm your beer before you finish it. These static wicks on an airplane exist in order to reduce the chances of the plane being struck by lightning. The arrow on the gas gauge for your car points in the direction of which side the gas tank is on your car. These orange balls only exist to help make power lines more visible to low-flying aircraft. The dimpled ridges on a golf ball help reduce the drag when it's flying through the air, making it go further and faster.
The more you know, man. We learning.
Embarrassingly dumb ways people passed away. Part 4. In 1997, a 25-year-old Brazilian cyclist named Marcelo was riding his bike through an airfield in Sao Paulo while listening to music. Not paying attention to his surroundings, he ended up coming into contact with the propeller of a landing plane, ending his life immediately and damaging the wings and blades of the plane. Next, in 2008, a biology teacher from Bulgaria was driving with 2 friends and decided to randomly pull over and begin dumping leftover jars of chemicals into a manhole. These chemicals included highly flammable liquids, and when they came in contact with the sewage, they caused a powerful explosion that sent the manhole cover flying, decapitating the teacher. In 1999 in Cambodia, 3 friends were at a bar drinking. They began arguing until one of them got out of their seats and pulled out a 25-year-old anti-tank mine that he found in his backyard. He then set it it under the table and came up with the idea to drink while stomping on the mine. Everyone in the restaurant evacuated quickly, minutes before one of the men accidentally set the mine off. And in 2016, a pastor from Zimbabwe made a promise to walk into a river and then rise above the water, and this excited many of his followers. After fasting for a week, he went to fulfill his promise at Crocodile River, only to be devoured by crocodiles before he could even attempt to perform this miracle.
Why would he, if he's gonna try to walk on water, why would he do it at a crocodile river? The name is literally in the Crocodile River. That's the place you wanted to test it out at. People, man, they do some of the most bizarre things. You really just can't explain it.
This is why you shouldn't drink tap water.
I don't drink tap. You have to stay away from that. What we about to see, bro? No. What the hell is that? Organisms, man, our eyes are so small that we can't even see.
We're always told to drink a lot of water throughout the day, but have you ever wondered what happens when you drink too much water? Well, 35-year-old Ashley Summers drank 64 ounces of water in a span of 20 minutes and passed away from water toxicity. Ashley, her husband, and 2 daughters were at Lake Freeman in Indiana when she began feeling dehydrated. So she drank 4 bottles of water because for some reason she wasn't able to quench her thirst. Ashley complained about having a horrible headache and she began to feel lightheaded. When she got home with her family, she passed out in the garage and she was taken to the hospital where the doctor said she had brain swelling. Ashley never woke up and she was pronounced dead from water toxicity. A toxicologist said that this is more likely to happen to someone who's extremely dehydrated, which will cause them to drink too much water and not enough sodium or electrolytes. So remember, bring more than just water on really hot days, especially if you're under the sun for a long period of time.
This 98-year-old
Man, what the hell? She too much water. That's like one of the first times I've ever heard something like that, man. I guess when you get, like you said, when you get dehydrated, you gotta bring something other than water, because if you just down a whole bunch of water, I guess your system can't take it all in, especially when you're dehydrated. So keep that in mind.
woman had her life ended in a snuff film. Margaret Douglas was a woman who lived in Ohio, and even at 98 years old, she lived by herself and was described by her family as being fiercely independent and healthy. Margaret told her family that the thing she was most excited about was being able to reach the age of 100 in just 2 short years, but sadly, her life would be brutally ended before she got to that point. In April of 2018, Margaret's partially nude body would be found stuffed inside of her bedroom closet, having been strangled to death. Margaret's 17-year-old neighbor, Gavin Ramsey, would eventually be brought in for questioning after several concerning videos and photos were found on his cell phone. The videos depict Gavin breaking into Margaret's home and then filming her while she slept on the couch for several minutes. After several minutes of watching her sleep, Gavin would jump on top of Margaret and proceed to strangle her to death. Afterwards, the video and photos would depict Gavin masturbating over top of Margaret's dead body before using her hands to masturbate himself. When asked why he did it, Gavin simply stated that he wanted to know what it felt like to take another human's life. He was quickly found guilty and is currently serving life in prison.
By the end of this video,
No
you're not
remorse,
going to be able to
man.
look at this photo the same way. This photo looks completely innocent, a middle-aged man reading to a bunch of kids. But this man is Paul Schaefer, and he's the leader of one of the worst cults you've probably never heard of. Paul was a Nazi during World War II, and after the war, he fled to Chile to basically start his own prison camp. I talk about it more in this week's podcast episode, but he brought a bunch of other Germans to Chile under the guise of "let's escape Germany." But once they were all there and he had them in the middle of nowhere, he started subjecting them to torture. And unfortunately, no one got it worse than the children in the camp. Upon arrival, kids were stripped from their parents, told they no longer had parents, and were beaten if they tried to talk to them. Powell also started a hospital in the area, which was just a way for him to abduct local Chilean boys. If a young boy went in for a checkup, he would have the nurses sign adoption paperwork and he wouldn't return the boys to their families. And this is all because Powell was an abuser of the worst kind, and he did all this to create a society where he basically had unfettered access to young boys. And eventually, he turned his cult into a death camp. There are over 600 people who went missing at this camp, and most of them are local Chileans. Anyways, this whole story is so wild, and I encourage you to listen to the whole thing in this week's episode.
Sounds like a wild episode, man. Signing over kid.
Weird War Facts, Part 5. After the attack on Pearl Harbor, the US government issued Mickey Mouse gas masks in case of a chemical attack. The incentive was to make them appear less scary to kids, but most people don't think it worked. An atomic bomb cameraman accidentally ripped off his safety goggles a few seconds before the bomb exploded. He immediately covered his eyes with his hands, and when the bomb detonated, he saw the bones of his hands through his closed eyelids just like an X-ray. When the Soviet Union was pushing towards Berlin during World War II, a Nazi SS soldier was forced to play piano for his captors. They made it clear to him in sign language that he would be executed the moment he stopped playing. He played for 22 straight hours, after which he collapsed in tears. They congratulated him.
This baby was found after being missing for 51 years, y'all. This baby's name was baby Melissa, and she went missing when she was 21 months old. And her parents needed to find a babysitter so that they can go to work and be able to make money. Now, this happened back in 1971. Like I said, she was 21 months old. And her mother looked in the newspaper for a babysitter, and she found one. Now, this babysitter allegedly got baby Melissa, and after her mom got off work, she was gone. And she has been missing for 51 years. 51 years. And she gave her a whole new name, a whole new identity. It raised her under the pretenses that she was her child instead of telling her real identity. Fast forward 51 years later, she has been found, and I mean, obviously her birth parents are no longer living, but the fact that she has been found after that long is absolutely fascinating and really tells you how a lot of these missing persons cases that they might still be alive.
Here's the most
Never know.
unsolved mysteries with the most chilling phone call, part 1. Trigger warning, all of these stories you're about to see are real and documented, and every single one of these are still unsolved to this day. For our first story tonight, there's this young girl named Antoinette. On April 6, 1986, her and her sister were up at 3 a.m. at the house. At just 9 years old, they heard a knock on the door. She said, "Who is it?" And this man said, "Uncle Joe, please let me in, it's cold out here." According to her sister's reports, as soon as Antoinette opened the door, 2 men grabbed her and put her in a brown van. Here's where everything gets super creepy. Her sister said that she kicked and screamed all the way to the van. 1 year later, the police received this phone call, and what you're about to hear literally gives me chills.
I'm Anthony Garibito. Okay, whereabouts in Albuquerque? Hello? Antoinette, where are you?
Whoa.
And this
That's
is why
chilling.
you should never kiss a baby on the lips.
This is a result of somebody kissing her on the mouth. When parents say not to kiss their children, this is one of the reasons.
This is a recent photo of 8-year-old Bree Lynn. She was born healthy, but as a baby, she was kissed on the lips by someone who had a cold sore, and her life changed forever. So after this happened, she began having seizures and became extremely sick. And since as a baby, your immune system is not developed, the HSV infection attacked her brain and left her with a severe brain injury. Her mother explains that the left side of her brain is 60% damaged and the right side is 10% damaged. And because of this, Bree Lynn has never been able to walk or talk, and doctors don't even know how long she'll live. There was actually another child in the past who had the same thing happen to them, and they only lived until the age of 7. And here's the thing, many people can argue that they've kissed their baby and nothing like this has ever happened, but this is still very possible, especially if you have a contagious virus in your system. I mean, just to be safe, we should all avoid doing this.
Yeah, man. I mean, don't let Random strangers. I guess I don't know if the person was random, but even I guess random friends don't even try to freaking kiss the baby because, like she said, the baby's immune system that's new, so they can't fend off diseases like we can. You may just think it's all sweet and innocent, but the person tells you, man, don't kiss the baby. Just as the baby, just follow what they're saying, man, because you never know what could happen. That's gonna make me way more cautious now. That's an edit. Call them out,
Really
man.
weird human body facts that I can guarantee you didn't know. Your penis has rifling. That's why the stream twists. Girls who are born at altitude reach puberty a lot faster than girls born at sea level. In some cases of brain surgery, they peel your face forward like a banana peel.
Wow, really?
Remember the Old Navy supermodelkins? They were mannequins that Old Navy came out with in 2008 during the recession. The mannequins had their own personalities and even relationships with each other. And they were to be treated like celebrities, and they even had social media profiles. Supermodelkins commercials were extremely fleshed out, and there was even drama between the modelkins. Like, they would like gang up on each other. There was a little bit of like a Mean Girls thing going on. The commercials for this campaign were like little short films about their lives. There was also a dog. There was even a Supermodelkin Super Search, which was a contest for someone to be the new identity basis for a Supermodelkin. Maggie won, and they literally turned her into a Supermodelkin. In 2011, the Supermodelkins retired in order to make way for Old Navy's new campaign. It was the Old Navy Records campaign and was in partnership with Shazam.
Crazy facts about things in our world. Mohammed is the most popular name worldwide. A teaspoon of a neutron star weighs 10 million tons. The Great Wall of China takes 18 months to walk. The human body is made up of 60% water.
Damn, so we water beings, man. What the hell?
Facts that will blow your mind. Humans are the only animals that enjoy spicy foods. Potato chips cause more weight gain than any other food.
Wow.
It's impossible to hum while you hold your nose. The least interesting day in history was April 11th, 1954. Aldous Huxley and C.S. Lewis died on the same day as JFK. Bigger forks lead you to eat less. The longest living insect is the termite. Chewing gum after a meal reduces heartburn. Dogs can smell cancer. Bees can detect bombs. Follow and comment below which fact blew your mind.
Dogs and bees.
Chilling paranormal encounters caught on camera.
Oh my fucking god, I swear to god, this thing just fucking looked at me. Oh my fucking oh my fucking god.
You saw that? It moved, but it was slow.
You okay? What the hell? What the fuck is going on here? There ain't nobody there. Miss? Hello?
Ooh. Who the hell was crying in that
The
car?
reason I had to move out of my flat. I was home alone.
I saw that. Definitely saw a fish right there or something. And caught all those encounters on camera. Those are brave souls.
These are the most amazing animals in the world. Part 1. The ogre-faced spider can be found in the forests of Australia and Africa, and it's known for having the largest eyes on any species of spider. Their eyes can also absorb 15,000 times more photons than humans. They're able to hear their surroundings from the tiny hairs on their legs, and use it to create one big and one smaller web between their legs, and attract their prey with their waist and snag it. Next, the Watusi is a species of cattle that originated back in ancient Egypt. The biggest characteristic that helps them stand out is their massive horns. These horns can grow up to 8 feet in length, and some of them may never stop growing. The Watusi with the largest recorded horns was in 2004, with horns measuring 40 inches in width.
Damn.
And these horns don't just look awesome, but they function as air conditioners for the animal, because they can control their body temperature and send it out the horns. And finally, the flatfish. Their flat bodies allow them to blend into the ocean floor to easily hide themselves from predators, as well as help them catch their own prey. They're also extremely fast swimmers thanks to their underfin, which gives them an extra boost. These fish also start like any regular fish, with both their eyes on each side of their face. But within a few weeks, one of its eyes slowly migrates its way onto the other side of the face, which makes them look like this.
Flatfish, okay.
This guy could probably hear his ancestors because that's how close he was to meeting them. Let me say, if you ever see this in the water, you need to swim away immediately. Because this, my friends, is a blue dragon, otherwise known as a Glaucus atlanticus. This thing is literally designed to catch a body and then sleep like a baby afterwards. If there's anything I've learned about nature, and it's a little trick, is to never associate yourself with anything blue. Poison dart frog, blue, will fold you like a lawn chair. The blue Malaysian coral snake will fast track you to the afterlife. The blue ringed octopus, which will give you your own headline. And of course the blue dragon. However, it's not actually a dragon, it's a slug. So unless you wanted to say killed via a slug on your tombstone, don't do what this fool's doing. These animals are commonly found on European, African, and of course Australian coasts. These creatures will literally steal other animals' venom to use it for themselves. They also produce a sting more painful than the Portuguese man of war, feeling like hot knives on your skin. Oh, lovely. Now send this video to a friend so they know not to go near it. You could literally save their life.
Creepy last words people said
Don't
right
touch that
before
slug.
dying. A nursing assistant said that she was in a long-term patient's room changing the sheets. The patient would periodically look behind her. She asked the patient what was wrong, and the patient looked in her eyes and asked, "He doesn't scare you?" The nurse was confused, and she asked her who she was referring to, and the patient said, "The big man in the top hat. He's standing right behind you." She said that she doesn't think that she has ever finished changing a bed sheet and repositioning a patient as fast as she did that night. She refused to go into that room by herself for the rest of her shift. Linda Johnson, a former nurse, said that she had a gentleman in his late 90s who was dying. He started screaming blood-curdling screams, so they raced to his room. He was screaming that the room was on fire and that there was a man with large horns peering out of the flames. He kept pointing to one wall, saying that it was on fire. The nurses turned on the lights and tried to calm and console him, but to no avail. Instead of being consoled, Linda said that he told her that she was on fire and that he could see her being consumed by flames. Linda said that it was the creepiest thing that has ever happened to her. The doctor was notified, but nothing relieved the patient's terrifying hallucinations. He died soon after. Cynthia said that several years ago, her 20-year-old daughter had brain surgery. She got an infection of the spinal fluid. She was there in grave condition for a month. Cynthia never left her daughter's side. One night, the worst night at this point, she asked who the man in black was that was standing by the bathroom, and why Cynthia's deceased brother, the girl's uncle, was standing next to her at the side of the bed. Cynthia immediately got the chills. She told her daughter, "They're not here." Then she told her brother and the man in the black, whom she couldn't see, "You both have to go now. She's not ready to go, and I'm not ready to let her go." After that night, her daughter started to get better and better each day. Today, her daughter is doing well.
Thanks to a deathbed confession, a nearly 24-year-old cold case was closed this week when the bodies of a missing girl and her mother were found. 10-year-old Natasha Alex Carter and her mother Susan disappeared from their home in Beckley, West Virginia in August 2000. But at first, police initially reported that Alex may have been abducted by her mother. In a press release from December 2021 about the case, the FBI Pittsburgh said, quote, "At the time of their disappearance, Susan Carter and Alex's father were having a custody dispute, and Alex moved in with her mother and mother's new husband," which it's not confirmed that it was actually her mother's new husband, but they moved in, and then not long after that, Susan and Alex disappeared. But while it was initially suspected as a parental abduction by Susan, after the two remained missing, an investigation into other possibilities ensued, but unfortunately, the case went cold. In 2021, the FBI reopened the cold case and started looking into the man Susan and Alex were living with, Larry Webb. Searches of his home were done in 2022 and 2023, and they found a bullet embedded in the wall of what was Alex's bedroom. The bullet was tested for DNA, and it confirmed that blood on it belonged to Alex. In October 2023, Larry Webb was indicted on first-degree murder charges for Alex's death, despite Alex and Susan's bodies never being found. Due to his deteriorating health, though, Webb was not arrested until April 12, 2024, but since then he was being held without bond. On Monday, he had a medical episode, after which, in a, quote, come-to-Jesus moment on his deathbed, he confessed to authorities what he had done. Webb claimed that on August 8, 2000, he had gotten into an argument with Susan over money. He said he was missing some cash and believed that she had taken it and spent it. The argument escalated and he shot her, and then he ended up shooting Alex so there would be no witnesses. Webb then wrapped their bodies in bed linens and placed them in the basement that night. Over the next 2 nights, he dug a shallow grave in the woods on his property, eventually burying them in his clothes, and then walking free for the next 20 years. On April 22nd, 2024, Larry Webb died at Mount Olive Correctional Complex, and 6 hours later, Susan and Alex's remains were found at his property in Beckley. Unfortunately, now that Webb is dead, he cannot be charged in connection to their deaths. At least now they have been found and can be properly laid to rest. Alex's father, Rick Lafferty, said after the discovery, quote, "It's kind of a sad day, but also a happy day because I can bring my baby home." Rest in peace, Alex and Susan.
The worst thing I've ever heard of happening at a theme park. This roller coaster was called the Smiler at Alton Towers in the UK. This is the promo for the ride. It was supposed to be really, really creepy.
Join us.
This happened on June 2nd, 2015. The staff sent an empty car to test the tracks, and the car stopped in the middle of the tracks of the roller coaster. They then sent a car full of people down the tracks when this empty car was just sitting here. So the people collided into the empty roller coaster car. I obviously can't show you the video on here or this video will get taken down, but it's terrifying because these people see the car sitting there and they know they're going to crash into it. And there's a video of the aftermath where the car that they're in is just swinging back and forth and they're screaming and crying in pain. It's horrible. 5 people needed serious treatment. 2 people shattered their knees, and 1 person had to get their leg amputated. It's all so terrifying. I can't even imagine. And of course, this video is informational, and I mean no disrespect to anyone involved. If you like my content, follow my TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for more. It really helps when you interact.
Surgery in the 8th Seekers, bro. Like I said, I'm not even that kind of big on roller coasters, man. I remember when I went to the freaking amusement park, bro. So everybody's getting on the freaking big roller coasters. I'm like, nah, I'm good, bro. That ain't for me. I don't know, a couple, man. But that's freaking insane, bro. The head that they said they sent a roller coaster ahead and they stopped mid tracks, and they still sent another one full of people. I don't know what was going through that person's head when they decided to do that plan, but that was a freaking demented plan, bro. Who does something like that, man? Just to see, I guess, to see what type of results they can get. And that promo was freaking weird as hell too, Seekers, man. I guess that promo was a sign, bro. Crazy.
1800s was fucking insane. Literally no anesthesia, no fucking drugs. You was awake while motherfuckers was chopping you up. One of the professional choppers, Robert Liston, was literally one of the fastest surgeons, which is good because you obviously want that shit to be over with fast. One day he was working so fast on a patient that he accidentally cut off 2 of his assistant's fingers. Both the patient and his assistant later died of gangrene. Oh, that's not all. Also, during the procedure, he accidentally swiped his blade past one of the elderly doctor's coats. The elderly doctor thought he was cut and literally went into shock and had a heart attack. So this motherfucker literally killed 3 people trying to save 1.
Crazy Seekers.
This teen took revenge on his ex in the most horrific way. On June 3rd, 17-year-old Madison Schmitz was stabbed by her ex-boyfriend, 18-year-old Spencer Pearson, outside a restaurant in Jacksonville. On this day, Madison, her mother Jackie, and a friend were sitting at a restaurant named Mr. Chubby's Wings when they noticed Spencer sitting at a table not too far from them. You see, Madison and Spencer had been broken up for a couple of months now, but he has been harassing her by following her to school and leaving notes on her car. So when they spotted Spencer sitting close to them at the restaurant, they quickly left. Spencer followed Madison and her mother to the parking lot. He threw Madison to the ground and began stabbing her. Madison was stabbed 15 times. Many of these wounds hit her back, which caused her to be paralyzed. Madison's mother was also stabbed in the head and leg while she tried to protect her daughter. This man, who happened to be there, intervened and tried to stop Spencer, and as a result, he was stabbed in the hand. When police were on their way, Spencer slit his throat in an attempt to take his own life, but he was unsuccessful. Spencer
Spencer has been charged with 2 counts of attempted premeditated murder and aggravated battery with a deadly weapon.
So about 10 minutes.
Secrets, man. Like I said, you gotta watch out for people like that, bro. When you're in a relationship, man, because once it ends or something, bro, you don't know that'll send them over a cliff or not. And look what happened, man. Just following, stalking her, bro. And look at the result of what happened, man. Such a tragic case. See him, like, imagine you going to like a restaurant, get shit with your parents or something, and your freaking ex, it's just like you see him following you. That would always throw me off right there, bro. I wouldn't even actually try to leave the restaurant because you want witnesses, man. In case something trying to happen, just something try to go down. Look what happened. As soon as they left, that's when he made his move. Things, man, people would do, bro, just to get back at the ex in a relationship. It's truly terrifying. Secrets.
Minutes ago, there was an update in the disappearance of Nicola Bully. Nicola went missing last Friday whilst walking her dog near the River Wyre. And just moments ago, police released a CCTV image of a woman walking her dog who they now believe may have been the last person to see Nicola. It's important to note that the police want to talk to this woman as a potential witness and not a potential suspect. In fact, police have now said that they have no reason to suspect that a third party is involved with Nicola's disappearance. Authorities are continuing an extensive search of the river as well as searching an old abandoned house near to where Nicola went missing. Hopefully, Nicola will be located soon and her family and friends will have answers.
They gotta locate her soon.
A man just tried to end the lives of a woman and 2 young children by driving his Tesla off of a 250-meter cliff. The only problem is, all 4 of them somehow survived. The cliff is known as Devil's Slide, and when authorities were informed of the incident, they assumed that they'd be retrieving bodies, until they noticed movement from inside the vehicle. One official said, "We go there all the time for cars over the cliff, and they never live." This was an absolute miracle. The man and the woman sustained serious but non-life-threatening injuries, while the 2 children came out unharmed. So the question is, was this extremely lucky or a W for Tesla?
Damn. Are Teslas that durable, Seekers? If you can tell the name of that freaking cliff they went off, that's like a bad omen, bad sign already. But to hear that they had the 2 of those had non-significant injuries and the kids came out unscathed, that's just a pure miracle right there, Seekers. I don't know if that's Tesla or if that was something else, man. But he tried to end it all, bro, and nothing even happened, bro. Whew. Somebody was looking out for that whole family. What do you guys think, Seekers, man? That's a bizarre case, bro. Truly.
This video unless you have a very strong stomach. This case is truly sickening. On August the 31st, 2019, Margaret Sumney was unreachable. Her family knew something was wrong. They tried and failed to get hold of her for 2 days before notifying police to ask them to do a welfare check. When police went to her house in Pennsylvania, what they discovered was horrifying. They found shattered glass all over the floor and blood smeared on the walls. They found the 67-year-old's body in the bath. She'd been beaten to death. The autopsy revealed that she died from blunt force trauma to the head. Police interviewed her son David, who initially denied having anything to do with her death. However, police searched his phone and found absolutely disgusting images. They uncovered 277 sickening pictures, including selfies of David with her body, his face smeared in her blood, and doing a thumbs up pose. Police also discovered that David was in possession of his mum's jewellery and several blank cheques. He also had a record of previously assaulting his mother twice and attacking his now deceased father once. The same year as his mum's murder, he allegedly waterboarded and strangled his ex-girlfriend in an Atlantic City hotel. It's reported, though, that he just slipped through the cracks in the police databases, allowing him to go on to offend again. He was soon arrested, and it was found that when he'd committed the murder of his mother, he'd taken a large amount of Adderall. His defense argued that he had diminished responsibility due to his substance and alcohol use. Originally, he was facing charges of first-degree murder and abuse of a corpse. However, due to a legal loophole, he entered a guilty plea, so he would only be charged with third-degree murder. He was sentenced to 20 to 40 years in prison. Terrifyingly, as he's now been in prison since 2019, and due to his good behavior behind bars, he could be released in just 17 years.
Seekers, man, what do you guys think? I don't think he should get freaking off like that, man. It's like, bro, like they said, he had a pattern or history of attacking people before, and they said they didn't pick up on him because he just slipped through the freaking cracks, man. I'm telling you, man, the system, sometimes it's fair, sometimes it's not, man. But they had, like you said, he had a history of doing that to people, and he just let it slip through the cracks, and they said due to a loophole, he got that low sentence. And the head could be even lowered again. I'm like, I don't think so, Seekers, man. And he did that to his own freaking mom, bro. Your own blood, bro. Can't trust anybody, man. Family, friends, nobody's the exception. What do you guys think, Seekers?
This is a man who killed his family twice. Gregory Green is a convicted murderer who completely failed at his second chance at life. In his early 20s, he married Tanya Green. It wasn't long into the marriage that Gregory started to show some signs of abusiveness, such as jealousy, anger, and violence. While Tanya was 6 months pregnant with Gregory's child, she threatened to leave him for good once she got home. But Tanya never got the chance because as soon as she got home, Gregory stabbed her with a steak knife 10 times, killing her and their unborn child. Gregory was given a 15 to 25-year sentence in prison, and during his time there, he was denied parole 4 times. However, during his time in prison, he gained lots of support from friends and family and grew really close to a pastor named Fred Harris, who helped him find God, and he was his biggest supporter of getting him out. In 2008, Gregory was released on parole after serving 16 years in prison. And after just 2 years on parole, he was a completely free man. Shortly after that, he married his second wife, Faith Harris Green, who was the daughter of the pastor he was working with in prison. They were married for 6 years, and Faith had a 19 and 17-year-old child from a previous marriage, and Gregory and Faith had a 5 and 6-year-old child. Over the course of their marriage, Gregory started to show the same signs of abusiveness as he showed before, and Faith also tried to file a restraining order, but was denied. Things got really ugly in 2016 when Gregory poisoned his 2 young children that were sleeping upstairs, took Faith to the basement, tied her to a chair, and beat her. He then brought down his stepchildren and shot them in front of her. Faith survived the encounter, and Gregory was sentenced to prison yet again and won't be eligible for parole until he's 97 years old.
Imagine getting arrested.
See, because, man, we know you hear the expression about everybody deserves a second chance, but he literally had a second chance and he wasted it, and it was a pattern or a cycle he just could not get out of, man. And to do that to the freaking pastor who was there for you, man, the daughter. Sickening case, Seekers. Did that to his own kids, man, and to the stepkids as well. That's just traumatizing them, man. Just like, what's the point? You know, everybody deserves a second chance, but it's people like that that makes people, that's why people sometimes say people don't deserve a second chance, and he's one of the prime examples.
For having a child with a dead body. Jennifer Burrows is a 26-year-old who was working at a morgue when she was arrested after a DNA test proved her child's father was a dead body she was supposed to autopsy. But it actually gets worse from here, because while Jennifer was working as an assistant pathologist at the morgue, she had relations with more than 60 bodies, belonging to men aged 17 to 71 years old. She did this for 2 years until it led to the birth of her son. Her son's father was a 57-year-old veterinarian from Texas, who passed away in a car accident in 2017. Jennifer was charged with 158 counts of indecent treatment of a corpse. Many psychologists and experts have debated why someone would do this. The reasons range from curiosity to severe mental illness. Some even believe Jennifer was suffering from psychosis. Alright, after all that, I don't really know how to end this video, so stay safe out there and follow for more.
This 000 call is absolutely horrifying. It's a call made by 26-year-old Jessica Camilleri after she'd just attacked her mother with 7 knives, taken off her head, and walked outside with it in her hand.
Hello, it's Alison from Police Emergency. We just received a call from this number.
Yes, I need you to get the ambulance and the police out immediately.
To which address?
128 Huntway Avenue. Please come. I need you. This is I need you. I grabbed the knife from her because I thought she was going to stab me, so I stabbed her back. And I was so heated up with anger, I just kept stabbing and stabbing and stabbing her. And I took off her head.
Jessica suffers from multiple mental health disorders as well as ADHD and OCD. Her mother was trying to get her help after multiple incidents of Jessica assaulting people in public, pulling their hair, and threatening to shred their heads. She'd also made hundreds of phone calls to random numbers, saying things like, "I'll come to your house with a knife and shred your head to the neck." On this fateful night, July 20th, 2019, Jessica's mother Rita was at home with a younger relative, a little boy that hasn't been named due to his age. Jessica hated the fact that this younger relative was in the house, and her and her mother got into a heated argument. Jessica dragged Rita by her hair to the kitchen, grabbed a kitchen knife and began stabbing over and over. Each time one of the knives broke, she'd grab another and continue the attack. At one point, the 4-year-old child that was witnessing the attack actually tried to save Rita. He jumped on Jessica and hit her over the head with the lid of a toy box. She threw him off and actually slashed his cheek and his arm and hand in the process. She then continued the attack on Rita. Most of the blows were aimed at Rita's face, head and neck. She stabbed Rita through the eye socket, took off her nose and tongue, and then twisted her head clean off, walked outside with it in her hand, and went to a neighbour's house. She then made that 000 phone call, and when police arrived, she told them, "My mother's head is on the concrete over there. Can you sew it back on?" Jessica's trial began, and the court was played the 000 phone call as well as body cam footage that showed Jessica repeatedly asking police if they could bring her mother back to life and reattach her head. In 2020, Jessica was cleared of murder by a jury and instead convicted of manslaughter after her defence lawyers argued that she was impaired by a mixture of mental disorders. She was sentenced to 21 years with a non-parole period of 16 years. However, this year she appealed that sentence and she won. Her non-parole period was reduced, meaning she'll be eligible for parole in 2031 when she'll be 37.
See, cause that case that freaking twists and turns, bro. But to hear that freaking call, it's chilling, man. I don't see how people can just do that after they do like a horrific act like that. They can just be so calm on the phone talking and just saying what they did. She took off her mom's head. And the 4-year-old kid freaking traumatized. Like, he even knew, like, imagine it being a kid that young, but that kid knew something was going on and tried to help. Like, 4 years old, having to see that. Scarring that kid for life, Seekers, man. Tragic case.
911, what's location of the emergency? Help me! Yes, what address do you need help?
I'm not on an address. I'm on a road on Myers Road. He's trying to kill me.
Which road are you on?
Myers Road, Morgan City.
Okay, do you have an address? Listen.
Kathy Lee, come on. Get a stop here now.
Okay, who's trying to kill you?
My husband. He's trying to take a truck.
Okay, what?
He's trying to kill me. Come on.
And then, what kind of gun does he have? Ma'am, take a deep breath so I can understand you. Ma'am, I've already got help coming. I need you to tell me wire and what?
On plan. I'm on plan. Wire.
Just a minute.
I'm walking. He shot me.
Okay, you're on fire at Glenview Court?
He shot me.
Okay, where did he shoot you?
In the chest.
In the chest?
Oh, yeah.
She ended it all. I'm like, you know, the police, they on the phone, like I said, I'm talking. You gotta like try to freaking calm them down, but they going through a traumatic event, so you know they not thinking, man. So you trying to tell a person calm down in an event like that. I don't think that's gonna work. You just gotta try to work through it, Seekers in. But boy, to her, she got freaking shot in the chest, and she still was able to make that call. Just to show you the strength that she had. It's a freaking terrifying call too. She had a mate. I guess he was chasing after her in the turquoise truck, and she was on foot. Okay, Seekers.
First ever footage of Madeleine McKenna after the event.
Spotted on Portland Day 2007, one day after her disappearance. This girl had heterochromia and was seen some miles from the crime scene.
What the hell happened? We're gonna dive deep into that one, Seekers.
And young and lovely, the girl from Ipanema goes walking, and when she passes, each one she passes.
It's the cruel case. What the hell? Seekers, man, these cases, they be flashing sometimes, but the Mr. Cruel case. Tell me down below, man, if you guys got any information on that, man. We're going to have to freaking look that one up, man, because he says she's a true crime addict, and it's enough for her to keep her up at night, but that case did, so something shocking must have happened in that case. We got to check that out.
This is one of the most high-profile pedophiles in Hollywood, Jeffrey Jones. You might recognize Jeffrey from a number of movies he's been in, like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, The Hunt for Red October, and Beetlejuice. It's highly ironic to me that in a lot of the movies he was in, Jeffrey Jones played the villain, and he ended up being one in real life. So after his career flourished in the late 80s and 90s, let's fast forward to 2002. That year, Jeffrey was arrested for the possession of CP, if you know what I'm talking about, and he was accused by a 17-year-old boy of soliciting him to take nude photos. These charges get even more disturbing when you realize that the young boy who accused Jeffrey of soliciting him to take nude photographs was 14 when the charges were originally brought up and the accusations were made. Jeffrey pleaded no contest to the solicitation. He openly admitted that he had done this horrible thing. But once again, because of legal loopholes, because he admitted to this and pled no contest, that meant that the other CP charges were completely dropped. And what happened to Jeffrey after all this? Well, he got 5 years probation. He also had to go through counseling and register as a sex offender. And yes, if you're wondering, to this day he is still registered as a sex offender. You can find the records of all of this online. But it seems like Jeffrey didn't want to be known as a sex offender throughout his life. For the rest of his life, and he would end up being arrested twice for failing to update his sex offender registration. And in 2006, when working on the set of the movie Who's Your Caddy?, the community of Aiken, South Carolina, where the film was being filmed, complained to the government and complained that a sex offender was on set. This was due to the fact that families had been invited to visit the set with their children, and they had no idea that there was a predator lurking amongst the crew. To this day, a lot of people don't know what this guy has done, and even Justin Bieber posted a photo with him a couple years back, and a lot of people were obviously a little mad about that. And I think it's important to realize that these people are everywhere. They're your friends, your family, your neighbors. They're even celebrities. And at the end of the day, even the people that you look up to and have seen a million times on the silver screen could be the worst people you've ever met in real life. If you like these types of stories, give me a follow or listen to my wife and I's podcast, Murder in America.
This is what
Seekers, bro. Like I said, you gotta watch out for people like that. Like just because he freaking pled that no guilty consequence, like the other charges are freaking dropped. And because, like I said, you know, it's in Hollywood and stuff like that, so you don't know what went on behind the scenes to make those freaking charges drop. But they said he was used to playing freaking villains in the roles he was given. He was a villain in real life, man. The freaking a mirror of his freaking real life. Like I said, Seekers, bro, this media we be watching, man. The people behind it, bro, it's always a story to tell, bro. And in real life too. Like I said, we think we're just watching a short movie, but that can affect freaking real life as well. And Justin Bieber took a picture with him? How is he still in the freaking... still getting work after that? behind the scenes, some stuff went on, Seekers, bro. I'm trying to tell you.
It's one of the most horrific stories I've come across, and that takes a lot. It's the story of Ottie Sanchez and baby Scotty. Viewer discretion is advised, it's graphic and it's disturbing. Ottie was a 33-year-old former healthcare worker in San Antonio, Texas. She'd undergone psychiatric treatment for schizophrenia and she'd been in and out of psychiatric wards for mental health problems. She was suffering from these problems when she met her boyfriend Scott, who was also in the healthcare profession and also suffered from schizophrenia. Ottie fell pregnant and in July 2009 she gave birth to a son who the couple named Scotty. Scott said she was a brilliant mother, she breastfed her son and cared for him like any mother would. Ottie absolutely doted on her son, but after his birth she began suffering from postnatal depression. Her mental health declined and she was admitted into hospital on July 20th. She was released less than a day later, despite the fact that she'd refused to take medication to help with her intrusive thoughts. She told her boyfriend Scott that she was suffering with PND and schizophrenia and she'd be taking Scotty and going to live with her mum, sister and nieces. 5 days later, she brought Scotty to see his dad, but after asking for a copy of the birth certificate, she flew into a rage, took Scotty in his car seat, threw it into the passenger seat of the car and drove off. Scott reported this instance to the police, fearing for his son's safety, but the police merely marked it down as a disturbance. By now, Ottie was suffering from postpartum psychosis. She'd expressed to officers and medical professionals that she was hearing voices, and she feared she may harm her son. Despite all of her concerns, Scotty was left in her care, and on July 26, 2009, the unthinkable happened.
It's a house. It's an emergency.
And what's going on? What's the emergency?
I'm sorry?
What's the emergency? What's going on?
She hurt her child. Seriously, you hurt her child.
How did she do that? What's going on with the child?
The baby is dead. Jesus.
What did you say?
The baby is dead.
Who is the baby?
He's 3 weeks. 3 weeks old.
3 weeks old?
Not even 3 weeks old.
What did she do to him?
She stabbed him. There's blood all over the head. I don't know.
Where's your sister?
You said, stay there, I'll be there. I'm sorry.
Priscilla, where's your sister?
She's just sitting on the couch. She's gone crazy last night. She was hearing voices. She kept bringing me the baby, and finally she calmed down, and I took her back to the baby. And then now I just woke up to her screaming.
Okay, how old is the baby?
Not even 3 weeks old. She's baby's dead. This baby's dead. Please, somebody come.
Okay, they're on their way to me, okay?
No, nobody's there. It's okay, baby. Just stay right there.
Is that your sister?
Yes. Oh my God, please. Do you stand yourself? I told you to come to me.
Priscilla,
Yes.
where did she stab herself?
In the heart, in the stomach, she said.
Where did she see it?
I see a taboo in her heart, yes.
When officers arrived at the home, they saw a scene that was so horrific they've had to seek counselling. Ottie had used 3-bladed weapons to stab, kill, dismember and decapitate her 3-week-old son. She'd then eaten parts of his brain, his foot and his nose, saying that the devil had told her she had to do this in order to kill the demon inside her and stop an apocalypse. Ottie had then stabbed herself and slashed her own throat. Ottie was arrested and charged with capital murder, but after being examined by 3 separate doctors who all determined she was legally insane, she was found not guilty by reason of insanity. Ottie was admitted to a state mental institution where she'll stay until the jury determines that she's not a risk to herself or others.
Bone chilling case seekers.
actors were forced to wear. When Jim Carrey played the Grinch, he said he had to sit through 8 hours of painful makeup sessions every day. He said putting on the makeup felt like he was being buried alive. The suit was so itchy and painful that after the first day of filming, he kicked a hole through the wall and was going to quit the movie. So Jim Carrey hired a CIA expert who trained him on how to deal with torture. Buddy Ebsen played the original Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz. However, you never actually see him in the movie. This is because the original Tin Man outfit and makeup contained real aluminum, which is extremely toxic. This caused Buddy to be rushed to the hospital where he almost died.
Oh. Those actors, man. Those prosthetics.
Top 5 countries with the longest school days. Australia 6.5 hours. France 8 hours. South Korea 8 hours. Kenya 8 hours. China 9.5 hours.
Here's why you should stop rubbing your eyes.
That was no joke. You seriously need to stop rubbing your eyes as much, and here's why. Trust me, you might want to favorite this video because you might need this as a reminder in the future. Let's be honest, we're all guilty of this at some point. But I bet you didn't know that continually rubbing your eyes can actually cause really bad damage to your cornea. In fact, it can thin out your cornea, causing it to bulge. I mean, let's go back to the MRI footage. This is someone rubbing their eye, visibly being able to see the pressure it puts on your eye, and the way that the eye can actually change shape, increasing the pressure on your eye by 20 times. And it gets worse if you rub your eyes with your knuckles or the back of your hands. So although the occasional rub probably won't do you any harm, consistently doing it and consistently doing it hard could lead to potential vision loss. So saying this to literally anyone you know because for their eyes' sake, they need to see this. Elon!
This woman who recently competed in the Olympics in Paris was just murdered. This is 27-year-old Rebecca Cheptegei, and she was a marathon runner in Uganda. Rebecca competed in the women's marathon in the Olympics, and she finished in 44th place. Not long after returning from Paris, on August 31st, she was set on fire by her boyfriend. They identified this man as Dixon Edema, and apparently they were arguing over a piece of land. The attack happened outside of Rebecca's house, and it was said that her daughter tried to help her and save her, but this man had kicked her and also tried to beat her as well. It was said that Rebecca was found by neighbors who heard the arguing, and they were the ones who put out the fire. These burns were so severe it covered 80% of her body, and that's why she did not survive. But her boyfriend was also burned, but it only covered about 30% of his body, and he is now in stable condition. This is so sad, and violence towards women in Uganda is very common. There's actually been a few athletes who have been murdered by their partners in the last few years.
Maps that will...
That needs to change, man. She was literally in the Olympics, and then her whole freaking life trajectory changed, man. Justice for her.
Change the way you see the world. This is a unique visual that shows what the Roman Empire citizens believed was the entire world. This is what Chile looks like stretched across all of Europe. This is what all the uninhabited land in the United States looks like. This map shows the largest employer in each US state. These are the average train speeds across Europe. This map shows the distribution of ticks that are infected with Lyme disease across the United States. This map shows in the United States how many people commit violent crimes per 100,000 residents. This is a topographic map of Europe. This map shows the percentage of population in each Europe country that has never used the internet before. This map is comparing the populations of cities in Greece and Turkey, with each little square representing about 250,000 people. This map shows the most popular streaming services across all the countries in Europe. Can you guess where this puzzle piece is from? You're able to guess what country this is just by the shape.
If you haven't heard about this,
I can't get those last two. Could you?
Police across the world are warning people of this literally as we speak, and you would never even realise you've been scammed until this. But there is a new scam which only takes one person to do it in one simple move. And what it does is allow hackers to get into your phone, get access to all your personal information, cards, any single thing you own. So how this works is you'll get a package outside your door, like you would from a brand. It could be Amazon, it could be Pretty Little Thing, anything that you're buying.
Okay.
It could be from a company that you buy stuff from regularly, so you just think, oh, I'm a loyal customer, give me a free gift. You open it up, there could be something inside. It might be a t-shirt, it might be a hoodie, it might be some shoes, whatever. Then there'll be a QR code in there that says, thanks for your loyalty, please scan here. Obviously you're going to scan it. Why wouldn't you? Well, if you scan this QR code, that's where this happens. They will then be able to get into your phone from scanning that link. You literally would not be able to tell that this has happened to you until you see the money going out of your account or something like that. So yeah, if you don't order a parcel, just be wary if there's a QR code in there that it's telling you to scan. Do your research, please, because it could save you a lot of money. Now, of course, please share this video around with anybody you know, friends and family, because I know some of the older generation would scan it in an instant. Without my card, and I will keep you updated. China has just had to urgently
Nothing is left for free.
400,000 people after they were hit by one of the most powerful super typhoons in over a decade. And for perspective, a super typhoon is equivalent to that of a Category 5 hurricane. All schools in the area that made landfall were shut, trains, boats, and flights were suspended, and all tourist attractions have been closed down. The winds near its center reached a staggering 145 miles per hour, and this typhoon has doubled in strength after it killed more than 16 people in the Philippines last week. It's now predicted to move along and hit Vietnam this weekend.
Uncommon human traits. Being able to move one eyebrow, 25% of people. Growing a full beard, 1 in 5 men. Having dimples, 1 in 5 people. Going bald, 1 in 8 men. Having an outy belly button, 1 in 10 people. Being left-handed, 1 in 10 people. Having curly hair, 1 in 10 people. Having blue eyes, 1 in 10 people. Having green eyes, 1 in 50 people.
That's very rare. Green eyes, 1 in 50, man. That just shows you that the rarity. I see blue eyes often, but never green eyes, man. It's very rare if I see somebody with green eyes.
Did you know these facts? The Boeing factory is so large they had to install a one-of-a-kind air circulation system to stop clouds from forming inside of the building. This is the world's smallest drawbridge in Bermuda. The US Navy is known to have used Xbox controllers to control the periscopes on submarines. James Cameron was homeless when he wrote The Terminator. He sold the rights for $1 on the condition that he was the one to direct the movie. A race was held in 1888 between a pigeon and a bee for 3 miles, where the bee won by 25 seconds. Camels have 3 eyelids that helps protect their eyes from the blowing sand. Cherries are dried with helicopters. It would take you 18 months to walk the Great Wall of China. The USA speaks more than 350 different languages. Scientists are out there making arguments that we may have more than 5 senses, one of them being magnetoreception, which is the ability to sense magnetic fields, and the other is chronoception, which is the ability to sense time passing.
You won't believe what this man saw during the 2024 solar eclipse. Reddit user Blakester731 said that him and a couple of friends went to watch the solar eclipse at a fishing spot out in the backwater in Tennessee. It was a secluded area that also hosts a small Trail of Tears memorial. They passed the stone monument on their way to go fishing, which acknowledged the removal of the Cherokee from their native land and the tragedies that occurred there. He said that him and his friends gave it their private respects and moved along to the fishing spot. Time passed like any other day out fishing, and they were having a good time. Towards the afternoon, the dark shape of the moon started to move closer to the sun. The woods all of a sudden became very quiet. The sounds of birds, flies, and cicadas all seemingly disappeared. Then the eclipse started, and the world got darker around them. Colors and weird shadows split across the ground. Reddit user Blakester731 said that he was switching from his light-resistant glasses to the landscape around him. He looked towards the trees, and then finally, the moon was full and only the sun's halo showed behind it. He took the glasses off to see it more clearly, and then he says, they were there. He said that they were like reflections and shadows standing around them. There were tall, dark human shapes surrounding them. There were hundreds of them in the woods, behind the trees, and on the shoreline. He screamed and fell out of his chair. His friends then took their glasses off and shot out of their chairs too. They all grouped together and started moving towards their truck. But just as the moon moved off the sun, the shadow figures vanished. The whole thing had lasted less than 3 minutes, but they got out of there as fast as they could.
Gruesome facts.
Hey man, people, they saying they saw different stuff during the solar eclipse, man. That didn't happen like a while ago, like a couple of months ago if I'm not mistaken. So, Seekers, where were you guys at, man, when that solar eclipse happened? I was outside just trying to look up at it with the glasses, making sure nothing weird was going on, but everybody has a different story.
You didn't know, part 219. This is the last video taken of Steven Weber, who proposed to his girlfriend underwater. While on a trip in Tanzania, the couple were staying in a submerged room. Steven swam underwater to the outside of the room with a note and a ring. The front of the note read, "I can't hold my breath long enough to tell you everything I love about you. But everything I love about you, I love more every day." When he turned the note over, it read, "Will you please be my wife? Marry me?" He then produced a ring from his pocket before swimming out of frame. Tragically, he never made it to the surface and drowned. The Mark Jackson basketball card from 1990 has two unique guests featured in the background. The Menendez brothers can be seen sitting courtside after murdering their parents and prior to their arrest. When the SS Daniel J. Morrell began to sink on Lake Huron in 1966, the crew believed they were just moments from being rescued when they spotted lights that they believed was from another boat. To their horror, they discovered that the lights were actually from the severed stern of their own ship. It was barreling towards them under the power of the ship's engine.
Alright, so these are the insects that's usually on your strawberries.
Come again?
So far we got some mites. And it's pretty normal if you want fresh organic vegetables and fruits, they're gonna have bugs on them. Let's see how much are when you rinse them or wash them off. Ooh, looks like just rinsing them for a few seconds got rid of a lot of the insects. Now I will say, even though you wash them off on the outside, there's still the inside, which I'm sure contains plenty of insects because they burrow themselves in. So even when you wash your fruit and veggies, just know there might be insects inside the fruits and veggies as well, which is a good source of protein, I guess, right?
We are now...
Come again, man? Hey, man, we gotta be washing our foods, man, checking it out. Double checking, man. Then we gotta check the insides too, man. Seekers, man. Got insects on the food. You gotta be careful, man. Make sure we're not eating no insects, bro.
Learning that Colt Gray, the 14-year-old shooter, was relentlessly bullied at school for being gay. And the reason we even know this information is crazier. So, in May last year, the FBI received a tip that Colt made a threat on Discord to shoot up a middle school. So, naturally, police turned up at his house and questioned Colin, his father. He told police that Colt was being picked on every day and his classmates would call him gay. He revealed that the bullying got so bad that Colt wanted to move out of the school district. Now, when police told him what his son said on Discord, he reassured officers, saying that he would be mad as hell if he found out that it was true and that all guns would go away. Now, despite this, that Christmas, Colin gave Colt an AR-15, which he would then use 9 months later to do the very thing that he threatened over a year ago. And that is why the father is now facing 180 years behind bars.
No words needed, Seekers.
If you die in this VR game, you die in real life. Yes, this video is not fake. This is genuinely something that was just invented, and you won't believe who by. And it's not as crazy a person as you might think, which kind of makes it even more terrifying. It is almost unbelievable the world's first VR headset that literally kills you if you die in the game has just been created. And just quickly, TikTok are now showing you your lookalike on the app. Just tap share copy more, and if you've got one, it will come up. The man who invented it, Palmer Luckey, is a leader in VR, a government contractor, and the creator of Meta's Oculus headset. So this is the real deal. The headset is hooked up to 3 explosive charge modules that sit above the screen. The charges are aimed directly at the user's forebrain, and should they go off, would obliterate the head of the user. He said he created it because only the threat of serious consequences can make the game feel real to you and every other person in the game. He even says that he wants to work on an anti-tampering model that cannot be removed or destroyed. So if you decide to put it on, there is no going back. Thankfully, this headset is not commercially available yet. Would you play this with any of your friends?
Did you know these?
Hell no, man. They trying to freaking, saying this VR stuff, man, they trying to make it too weird, bro. Virtual reality is only supposed to be real up until a point. But now, like you said, he wants to make one where it can try to, like, lock you in, you can't even take it off your head. Don't buy that VR set, Seekers.
These facts. Jesse Pinkman and Walter Jr. were never in an episode of Breaking Bad. Amelia Earhart had a co-pilot when she went missing. Bill Withers wrote the song Ain't No Sunshine while he worked for a factory that built airplane toilet seats. A bear was the first living being to survive a supersonic ejection. Dr. Phil lost his psychology license in 2006, and all guests on his show have to sign a contract that says that they are getting advice from an individual and not a psychologist. Gaming tournaments are now adding clauses to allow judges to penalize players for dirty clothing or terrible odor as much as giving them a full loss. Berlin has still not recovered from its pre-World War II population count. A school principal made a student that was in trouble sit in the basement and read the U.S. Constitution. That student was Thurgood Marshall. He memorized the entire Constitution and became the first ever black Supreme Court justice.
Here are some Disney Channel stars that went to jail, but each time the crime gets worse. Starting off, Mitchell Musso, who played Oliver Oaken in Hannah Montana, was pulled over in 2011 for driving under the influence. He was only 20 at the time and was arrested and released on bail. Because of this, his character was written out of Pair of Kings, and his show Prank Stars was canceled. Next up, Adam Hicks, who played Luther on Zeke and Luther and had a starring role in Lemonade Mouth, was arrested a couple times, but most recently for an armed robbery with his girlfriend. His sentencing was delayed multiple times due to mental health evaluations and was eventually given a 5-year sentence. But he's now currently on parole and making music on TikTok. Moving on, Lindsay Lohan was Disney's golden child in the early 2000s, starring in iconic movies such as The Parent Trap, Freaky Friday, and Mean Girls, before getting into trouble with the law. She's been arrested for driving under the influence, drug possession, violating her probation, a theft charge, and has even had a bench warrant out for her arrest. And finally, Phil Lewis, who played Mr. Mosby on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, was arrested and charged for vehicle manslaughter after killing a 21-year-old girl while drunk driving. When they tested his blood alcohol, it was 3 times the legal limit. He was originally given a 5-year sentence, 2 years of probation, and 350 hours of community service, but ended up only serving 1 year due to his work with prison-based theater groups that performed in jails, churches, and schools to highlight the consequences of drug abuse.
That's our childhood, bro. Exposed, man.
Like pandas, right? They'll usually have twins, but since they don't have the facilities to take care of more than one, let's just say Zach might be fine, but Cody getting canceled. Mary Kay might be okay, but Ashley ain't. And that's assuming Big Mama don't roll in her sleep and flatline her first choice. So what Zeus will do is, they'll have twins running shifts with the mom. That way both Cubs have a chance at life. Whole time the desaturated deputies convinced she only had one. Here are some other horrible mothers of nature. The harp seal, because she's actually a good mother. For like 2 weeks, then she leaves the kid on ice even though it won't be able to swim or really do anything for itself for the next 6 weeks. Posting your child to chase more seal peel is negligent. Doing it in God's icebox is outrageous. And pulling that in polar bear country is just diabolical. The scorpion, because she literally carries her entire family on her back to protect them from predators. Pretty f***ing ironic, because if there is enough food around, she'll take some of the brood off her back and have herself a kid's meal. This guy, and I think you know why, because marsupials like quokkas, wallabies, and kangaroos will evict their child out the pouch as a last resort against predators. Logically, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Morally, it puts you in the class of Casey Anthony. This welfare fraud with wings. Not only do they con other birds into raising children they have no parts in, it is scientifically documented that cuckoos will use mob violence to force them to do it. So to be fair, the first thing the cuckoo chick does is yeet every foster sibling out the nest. And when you're born that much of a cockwife, there isn't much hope for your future, the more you know.
During World War II,
well, you know, he said it.
They wanted to take back Ramree Island from the Japanese. So on January 21st, 1945, British and Indian infantry stormed the beaches of Ramree to try to take it back. As soon as they land, they have all this naval artillery support just bombing the crap out of this airbase, but the Japanese do not want to surrender, and instead they give up the airbase that they were on, so the British take that back, and the remaining 1,000 Japanese soldiers started retreating to the opposite end of the island. But the only issue with this particular retreat was they would have to go through 10 miles of mangrove swamp. So that night, as the British are just kind of hanging out in their boats staring at the swamp, they start hearing screams coming from inside of this swamp. It's Japanese soldiers. Then you hear gunfire, and then silence. And the British are watching this like, do we have troops in there? What's going on in there? What was going on in there is defined by the Guinness Book of World Records as the largest massacre of humans caused by animals. And not just any animal, saltwater crocodiles. Saltwater crocodiles are notorious night hunters. So what probably happened is the Japanese got inside of this mangrove. The crocodiles were immediately aware of their presence, but they waited until nighttime before they started having a feeding frenzy. And at the end of their retreat, when the Japanese did get to the other side of the swamp, only 500 of the 1,000 made it out the other side. And so to this day, people stay far away from Ramree Island because there are so many of these man-eating saltwater crocodiles that have no issue ripping you to shreds.
Whew. Dark time of history. Never knew that, man. Watching these clips always expands my knowledge base.
Is it actually dangerous to tickle a stingray? Tickling a stingray, as depicted in a viral video where a man appears to make a stingray laugh, might seem like a harmless and amusing interaction. However, experts caution against such actions for several reasons. And just quickly, check if you've got any free TikTok tokens to claim. Tap share, copy, then more, and you'll see if you have any. Primarily concerning the safety and well-being of the animal. Stingrays, like many aquatic creatures, are not accustomed to being handled by humans, especially in ways that are unnatural to them, such as tickling. These animals are adapted to life in water, where they have evolved specific behaviors and responses to their environment. Interactions like tickling can be stressful and potentially harmful to stingrays. They may not have the same sensory responses as mammals, and what appears as laughter or enjoyment is likely a misinterpretation of their natural reaction to an unusual stimulus. Furthermore, stingrays have defense mechanisms, including the well-known sting in their tail, which they use when they feel threatened or stressed. Attempting to tickle or otherwise interact closely with a stingray can provoke this defensive response, posing a risk of injury to the person involved. From an ethical standpoint, respecting wildlife and maintaining a safe distance is crucial for the conservation and well-being of these animals.
Top 3 creepy last words
tickle a
people said
stingray.
right before dying.
Simple.
A nurse who wants to remain anonymous said that she had a sweet patient named Ella who started to lose herself to dementia. She started talking to herself. Most of the time it was playful. She would laugh to herself. One day, the nurse walked into her room and she was in a complete panic. She had her blanket pulled up to her chin and she was completely pale. The nurse went to her bedside to ask her what was wrong, and she said, "There is a woman in black looking in my window, and I am just petrified of her smile." The nurse said that it shook her hard. Reddit user Simple Simon 6262 said that when he was a student, he got called in on a stroke patient. She had coded and they were doing CPR. They worked for 45 minutes. But she died. They cleaned her up and called on her family to say goodbye. By the time her family left, she had been both brain dead and without a pulse for over 45 minutes. He said that blood had filled her brain and she was completely gray and had started to smell. Suddenly, she sat up and called for her family. The nurses rushed to get equipment and monitors back on her. She stabilized, said goodbye to her family, and promptly died a second time. Reddit user AJH1717 said that he works in a cardiovascular surgical ICU. He said that they had a stretch of nights where each corner room of their unit reported seeing a black cat walking around. Not a friendly cat either, apparently. The thing was hissing at them. The accounts were so similar to each other that they probably spent half an hour looking for the cat. Then they had security look as well. No cat was ever seen or found. 2 of those 4 patients coded the next day.
Have scientists just proven that we actually live in a simulation? I cannot believe what I'm about to tell you. Trust me, you're going to want to favorite this video because this could actually change the world.
Break it down for us.
Essentially, the new laws of physics support the concept that we are living in a computer simulation. Now please, stay with me. This is all being researched by a man named Melvin Vopson. A name which after this video you're probably going to want to bring up in your next therapy appointment. Claiming that we are all characters in an advanced virtual world. He claims that the physical behavior of information in our universe resembles the process of a computer deleting and compressing code. And do you want to know what that means? So do fucking I. However, it's his next quote specifically that makes me go, "Wah!" Clue that perhaps the machines hope we don't notice. You're right, Melvin, mate. These are some bold claims that we are absolutely living in a computer simulation. Bold enough claims to give Matthew nightmares. There is so much more on this, including the fact that he believes symmetry in our world is the clue to everything, saying that all biological life presents some form of symmetry. As well, solids and crystals also have symmetry, because apparently symmetry is the best way of optimizing and rendering a digitally constructed world. That's why we have symmetries everywhere rather than asymmetries. I'm way too deep down this rabbit hole. What do you think, computer simulation or real life?
See, because what do you guys think, man? We in a simulation? You guys know what my background is, so. Is it true, man? We in the Matrix, bro? We just don't know it yet? We gotta wake up, bro. Rage Against the Machine, man. I'm definitely gonna have to check up that, man. Sounds like a deep rabbit hole, bro. Sounds worth it though.
This whole Smart Schoolboy 9 situation just got far crazier. I cannot believe I'm actually saying this. So I'm sure you're all very aware of this whole Smart Schoolboy 9 situation. It's going crazy on social media right now. Since this whole thing came out, it's finally been revealed what his face actually looks like without the makeup and weird clothes on. And yeah, it is just like, this guy's a full-on 59-year-old man. What is bro doing? There he is. Still fully dressed up. Now, since this whole thing broke, there has been many people coming forward saying about their interactions with him. Apparently, he even has links to the guy who made salad fingers, so that explains it. We know his name appeared in this news article about school uniforms and how they're good, but many people claiming they've seen him out and about dressed like this, chasing them. Apparently, he's had multiple run-ins with the authorities who have raided his house before and found very bad things. But these are all just allegations, so no one knows for sure. But what we do know is that some of the videos are real, and I wish I could put them here, but I can't because it will just get taken down. Videos of this guy doing some truly disturbing things and full on chasing people. As I say, I can't post it here, but link in my bio to my full YouTube video if you want to go and watch that. But yeah, there is so many new things coming out about this guy. Apparently he's being looked into by the authorities right now, but who knows. But yeah, any more disturbing stuff I literally can't post here will be on my YouTube. But hit that follow button here, and I'll keep you updated with any new things that come out here.
Gruesome facts.
I seen that, man. That Smart Bro School 9 videos be trending everywhere on TikTok, YouTube. That's just everywhere, man. That just sounds like a freaking creepy case. I could check out a video, I guess, on YouTube if you guys seek it, if you want me to do that.
You didn't know, Part 225. In 1559, King Henry II of France was participating in a jousting tournament. During a match, he was severely wounded in the eye and brain by a splintered lance. He died of his injuries 10 days later, with his death leading to the decline of jousting as a sport in France. Actress and Playboy centerfold Yvette Vickers was last seen in 2010 after withdrawing from her family and friends. When neighbor Susan Savage noticed cobwebs on the mailbox, she went inside to investigate. Upstairs, she discovered her mummified body. Lieutenant Colonel William Henry Rankin is one of only 2 known persons to survive falling from the top of a cumulonimbus thunderstorm cloud. He was forced to eject from his jet when his engine failed. It took him 40 minutes to finally reach the ground. During his descent, he suffered from frostbite, and severe decompression caused his mouth, eyes, ears, and nose to bleed.
40 minutes just free falling on top of the cloud.
What you just saw is the United States Coast Guard raiding a high-speed submarine in the Eastern Pacific Ocean, moving more than 17,000 pounds of cocaine. On June 18th, 2019, a Coast Guard surveillance aircraft tracked and intercepted the drug-filled narco sub hundreds of miles off the Colombian-Ecuadorian coastline. The video shows a member of the Coast Guard riding on top of the speeding submarine. He then starts pounding on the hatch and demanding it to come to a stop. 3 other Coast Guard members then jump ship and board the 40-foot-long submarine. The video then continues, and you see the presumed trafficker emerging from the submarine hatch with his hands up, surrender. And in total, 5 alleged smugglers were seized on board the vessel and were handed over for prosecution by the United States Drug Enforcement Administration.
Are these your friends, the police?
Now, just watch the full encounter unfold. It's honestly something straight out of a video game.
Okay. What's he yelling?
That's gonna be hard to get on.
I'm trying to say what the hell is he saying? This is something like out of a video game, out of a movie. I just jumped on it. Whew. Have to freaking balance being on top of that too.
Is to make sure that these criminals survive long enough to have that justice served.
Terrified they. Then yesterday they released the popcorn bucket, man, for these movie theaters and they popcorn buckets. Crazy. Meet him?
In the beliefs of the Baloch people are associated with the mystery and deep silence of its nature and historical monuments.
Okay.
The cemetery of Jinn, what the Baloch call Jinn Sant, is one of these secrets. Locals believe that these tombs belong to the Jinn. They have buried their dead in the fence of these stones, and when night falls, the Jinn will appear on the graves of their lost ones and mourn them. They say that whoever goes to this graveyard at night will be cursed by the Jinn and will surely die with a severe punishment after a few days. Why is this cemetery known as the Cemetery of Jinn at all? The main reason is the tombstones of this cemetery. The tombstones planted in this cemetery are in such a way that they bear no resemblance to the tombstones of a human being. Although many of these stones were destroyed over the years, there are still traces of these tombstones, and there are so many that we can guess that this used to be a cemetery. The strangest tombstone of the Scary Fairy Cemetery. The strange part of this cemetery goes back to one of the tombs that is very long and wide. There is a...
Those tombstones. I just say no, they said it was a cemetery, but that was a circular shape, so that really has me raising some questions, man. We've seen a couple of clips, man, talking about jinns, but this one was really breaking it down for us. What do you guys think, Seekers? Should we go down that rabbit hole even more?
Ahriman created the desert spirit demons known as Da'avas to serve as direct opposites to the celestial angels known as the Holy Immortals or Amishaspentus. For example, the demon Druj, who represents falsehood, was created to be the polar opposite of Ashurvanishta, the archangel of truth and righteousness. Several of the Da'avas were once sacred Hindu deities who were brought to Persia and transformed into evil spirits. In fact, the term Da'ava or Deva originated in India as a name that meant shining ones, and it was applied to both gods and demigods. The Da'avas are not necessarily eternal, but they have been around for a long time, spreading disease and misery all over the world. They are also keen on leading mankind astray by encouraging people to worship them, rather than pray to a creator god. The Da'avas are supposed to be kept at bay by living a clean and decent life, and enjoying the blessings of creation. Unfortunately, even the most upright people are vulnerable to Da'ava possession for approximately 9 days after death. Evil people, on the other hand, can be possessed while still alive, and there are several purifying ceremonies and specific prayers that can be used to drive the vile Da'avas away.
I guess stay away from the Da'avas. They can take you over. The afterlife. There's definitely someone that's grunting, bro. Is it a graveyard too? Whoa. Buried alive or something? Coming from hell. Okay, what the hell is that? You hear echo in the voice now. That little hole, is that the opening he's hearing it from? Is he like digging? You see the dirt on his hand, he was definitely digging something. What do you guys think, man? Was that an edit? Or was that legit?
You guys want to know why I'm low-key afraid of Dua Lipa now? So there's actually this Iranian folktale that my dad told me about when she first popped off. It's about this long-legged man named Dua Lipa, which basically translates to long-legged person. So the story goes that Dua Lipa wanted to cross this large river, and so he asks this water troll to help him across. So after some persuading, the troll reluctantly agrees to help Dua Lipa cross the river, and he asks him to hop on his back. But as they're crossing the river, the water depth increases, and the troll asks Dua Lipa to loosen up his legs so that he can catch his breath. But Dua Lipa refuses, and they both end up drowning. And apparently, the moral of the story is to not let someone you don't know control your life. I don't know if the Dua Lipa we know and love knows this story, but I think about it every time I hear one of her songs or I see her perform. And as amazing as she is, the Persian fable got me.
Who is Rostam?
Hey man, what she was saying, how her name Dua Lipa was based off that story. And she's a freaking, like, you know, she's a star, and I guess they said the moral of the story was to don't let somebody you know control your life, and that's kind of the main point of freaking stars, man. When that's all you think about when you listen to the music and things of that nature. So there was definitely some similarities between those two stories, man. These freaking pop stars and movie stars and actors, bro. Now we got folklore based off their names now. What's next?
Rostam is a legendary Persian hero known for his great size and strength. He wore a panther skin, wielded a club, and is known for his 7 labors, prompting many to compare him to the Greek hero Hercules.
Okay.
Jinn.
Somebody like Hercules?
Jinns have no physical body of their own, and are creatures from an unseen dimension realm. Jinns can be both benevolent or malevolent. Jinns have the ability to predict the future, can read people's thoughts, have extraordinary strength.
I told you, bro. We keep learning about gems. We keep seeing gems throughout these clips. We're gonna have to do a deep dive into them one day, man. So they can be either good or bad now. Some new information we picked up. Well, you know, man, tap in with us.
A serial killer in 3, 2, 1. He has killed another girl, a 15-year-old girl. I don't mean to be rude, but his face looks like a piece of shit. His disgusting face is printed on the second page of all school textbooks. Doesn't this sound like a cult? Why should a 7-year-old kid see the face of a murderer every single day at school? Students have been drawing on his disgusting face for years now because we hate him. Another good and accurate drawing. Students have been tearing up his photos like this. This girl was among the many who did that. But the Islamic Republic security forces raided the school and checked to see if they still have that murderer's photo in their books. And she didn't. So they beat her up so bad that she passed away.
What? All because they didn't have him in the book?
Did you know that Black Friday actually means something very different in Iran? Bringing up those words evokes memories of the Black Friday Massacre, which occurred on September 8, 1978. The Black Friday Massacre resulted in the deaths of reportedly up to 3,000 people.
Damn.
And it was a pivotal point in the Iranian Revolution. Basically, this is a very complex subject to talk about, but at the time, people in Iran were fed up with the governing body, the Pahlavi dynasty, and they wanted the governing body of Iran to be replaced by an Islamic republic. That summer, protests had been erupting all over Iran. People were really fed up with what had been happening. There were all these weird events that were occurring, like a movie theater fire that killed over 400 people that people thought was linked to the Iranian government. And on that day, September 8th, 1978, thousands gathered in a public square in Tehran, Iran, to protest the government. But what they didn't know was that the government had enacted martial law just days before. So at some point during this massive protest, government officials started opening fire and massacring people by the dozens. Now, while some people claim that only 90 or so people died during this event, various other news sources, chronicles, people that were there claim that over 3,000 people were slaughtered on that day. And although this was an extremely tragic event that is still remembered in Iran to this day, this led to the overthrow of the government. So even though the Iranian government at the time that day tried to squash the rebellion by opening fire on these protesters, that totally turned around against them, and once again it led to the fall of the government.
Hey man, and what the freaking Black Friday was associated with that tragedy, man. And, you know, over here, Black Friday means, you know, people, they be going crazy and they be shopping, and how it, you know, how sometimes it ends up really bad, man. I wonder, is that what the name originated from?
In 1979, 66 American hostages were taken in Iran. 14 would be released, but 52 would be stuck in Iran for 444 days. The hostages were released on the day that Ronald Reagan replaced Jimmy Carter as the U.S. president. Were they released because Ronald Reagan was a serious guy, or because Jimmy Carter negotiated the right way? 172 days after people were taken in Iran, Jimmy Carter ordered a military mission to rescue the hostages. The mission failed, though, because 3 U.S. helicopters failed and another crashed into a plane. Jimmy Carter continued to negotiate with the leader of Iran, but he would not let hostages go. Finally, 443 days after the U.S. hostages were taken, the United States agreed to give Iran a whole lot of money and clear its criminal record in exchange for all 52 of the captured Americans. That's pretty quirky, but some people don't believe that story. Why? I'll answer that in part 2.
We've seen it happen before, actually, this year, about
there is a
prison
silent
transfers.
and mysterious cemetery in the southeastern part of Iran in the village of Tis, an ancient village at least 2,300 years old. In the beliefs of the Baloch people, the jinns are associated with mystery and the deep silence of this cemetery and historical monuments. The cemetery of Jinn, what the Baloch call Jinsan, is one of these secrets. Locals believe that these tombs belong to the jinn. They have buried their dead in the fence of these stones, and when night falls, the jinn will appear on the graves of their lost ones and mourn them. They say that whoever goes to this graveyard at night will be cursed by the jinn and will shortly die with a severe punishment after a few days. Why is this cemetery known as the Cemetery of Jinn at all? The main reason is the tombstones of this cemetery. The tombstones planted in this cemetery are in such a way that they bear no resemblance to the tombstones of a human being. Although many of these stones were destroyed over the years, there are still traces of these tombstones, and there are so many that we can guess that this used to be a cemetery. The strange part of this cemetery goes back to one of the tubes that is very long and wide.
We've seen that in the first clip, man, but I was bringing it down even more.
The sky is telling us something.
What the hell? It's split. That's a weird ass phenomenon, Seekers. The sky was really, the clouds was really like split. What the hell, man? Hey, these clips, bro, breaking my mind sometimes. Whew.
Iranian salt mummies. In the Cherabat salt mine in Iran, several ancient mummies have been uncovered, and they're honestly among the most horrifying mummies in the world, not only because of their appearance, but also because of their tragic backstories. In 1993, the first salt mummy was discovered by workers in the local salt mine. The mummy had a long white beard, iron knives, and a single gold earring. Experts believe the mummy dates to 300 AD. Several years later, in 2004, another mummy was discovered, and it was followed by the discovery of another mummy a year later. The sixth salt mummy was discovered recently, and the preservation of the mummy's body is astounding. His hair, bones, and internal organs remained intact. This is thanks to the high salinity of the cave. In fact, one of the salt men was so incredibly well preserved that his boots even remained intact, so much so that scientists could still see his toes through radiographic imaging. Upon examining the boots, they discovered the toes of the man curled tightly towards the tip, suggesting he was wearing uncomfortable footwear while working. Scientists believe that the salt men discovered in the caves were obtaining salt when they became trapped in the cavern. After all, many of the mummies discovered showed signs of trauma, indicating that the salt men were crushed inside the cave. It's highly likely that all of them were miners who met their untimely deaths while working inside the mines. Number 8. The Cannibals of the Goff's Cave. In 2011, a macabre collection was discovered at Goff's Cave in Cheddar Gorge, southwest England. Archaeologists stumbled upon a cave that was most likely inhabited by cannibals around 14,000 years ago, after the last ice age. Several bones were discovered in the area, many showing signs of butchery. It was clear that the victims were butchered by fellow humans in order to be eaten. When they were dead, their bones were cleaned and carved into cups. Quite gruesome, huh? Number 7.
Whoa.
Crystal Sepulchre Cave. In a cave in the Taper Mountain Nature Reserve are several skeletons. Many of them are lying with their limbs spread, befitting their tragic fates. The skeletons belong to people who were sacrificed by the Maya in order to appease their gods more than 1,000 years ago. The youngest of the skeletons belonged to a 1-year-old child, and the oldest was around 45 years old. Almost all of the victims inside the cave died of blunt force trauma, indicating that many of them didn't lead happy lives. Number 6. Lost Girl. Imagine you're exploring a cave, and you suddenly hear what you think is the sound of a young girl crying. You try to find the source of the sound, and after looking around, you do see a young girl crying all alone in the middle of the cave. That's precisely what happened when an explorer named Josh ventured into the Ape Cave in Mount St. Helens in the United States. They were far inside the cave when they began hearing the sound of a child crying. One decided to take a step back and turn around, but curiosity got the best of them. Luckily, they decided to walk deeper inside. As they walked further into the cave, and as the entrance became narrower, the crying noise became louder. They found a young girl in the middle of the cave who didn't speak English. Fortunately, they coaxed the girl into following them outside the cave, where her parents frantically looked for her. Number 5.
Yeah, heroes.
Moaning Cavern. The Moaning Cavern in Vallecito, California is arguably one of the scariest caves in the world. Not because of its daunting terrain, but because of the ghosts that allegedly haunt the area. The Moaning Cavern is popular for various activities in the area, from ziplining and gem digging to spelunking. What's more, the caverns are also famous because of the many artifacts discovered in the area. In the 1840s, gold miners discovered the Moaning Caverns, and inside, they stumbled upon arrowheads and other artifacts, including a necklace that's about 8,000 years old. Human bones were also discovered in the area. Now you're probably wondering how the cave obtained its name in the first place. You see, when the first visitors of the cave stepped foot in the area, they kept hearing wailing and moaning sounds, although we now know the unnerving sounds were caused by the wind. Number 4. The Haunted Mammoth Cave. Mammoth Cave is the most extensively known cave system in the world. Many people from all around the world visit Mammoth Cave National Park. However, aside from its natural beauty, it's also well known for paranormal activity. There are more than 150 documented paranormal events around the cave. Not only are the numbers significant, but the witnesses are also credible people, even researchers and scientists. Certainly, scientists have no reason to lie about seeing a ghost, right? For this reason, the Mammoth Cave is also known as the most haunted natural wonder in the world. In 1839, the cave was purchased by Dr. John Krogan for $10,000. For that price, the cave also came with several enslaved people, including a cave guide named Stephen Bishop. Many were delighted by the tours offered by Stephen, but Krogan had a different plan. For some strange reason, he wanted to convert the cave into a hospital. The doctor built 11 huts inside the cavern, and initially 15 patients were transferred to the cavern. It was the beginning of a disaster. Shortly after, the condition of the patients worsened, and Dr. Krogan himself died of tuberculosis. Many of the slave guides died years later. People believe that to this day, they still return to the cave as spirits to see how things are. One of the new guides claimed to have seen a family of African Americans in a group he was guiding once. However, after finishing the tour, the family mysteriously disappeared. There was also no record of the family taking the cave tour. If you want to get spooked, there are countless stories on the internet about the Mammoth Cave.
All those freaky caves. The one at the end, man, he tried to build a hospital and put it in a cave. That was not a great idea. At all, Seekers, I'm sorry. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you guys are seeking the truth, man. Truly, I really appreciate the support. Like I said, guys, make sure you guys hit that post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload a video. Hit that like button, man. Like I said, I saw a comment yesterday that really just said don't give up. Trust me, I won't, man. We're gonna post every single day, man. Like I said, the schedule might switch up over these past couple of days, but you guys just know, man. If you guys hit that subscribe button, man, thank you guys for joining me on my journey. We're gonna take off and explode in this algorithm, man. I truly believe that. You guys gonna catch in the next one, man. Tell me, guys, down below, what you guys think of this video. Did you guys see anything that freaked you out, spooked you out? put it down below. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.